Every prognosticator who prognosticates is sending CJ Carr to Notre Dame on Thursday.
Interesting.
So the Fighting Irish and Marcus Freeman will land what will likely be, if he's as good as he looks so far, a 5-star quarterback for the first time since Jimmy Clausen.
Hi there. Welcome in. There are the boys from College Football Enquirer, specifically Dan Wetzel, talking a little football recruiting. And welcome in on this Wednesday. We plan to talk a little football recruiting as well. We don't always just talk about recruiting, but it is that time of year. It's certainly that time of month, and we will be talking about it today. We've got some other things to talk about as well. This is the Maize and Blue Review, Michigan football today. We are here weekdays at 1 o'clock talking about the latest in Michigan sports, and recruiting is front and center with the Wolverines. We've already got some feedback coming in about Michigan. Dee's, we put his question up right off the bat. It's going to give us a good jumping point because we are going to be talking about, we talked about quarterbacks yesterday, going to be talking about quarterbacks today. We will likely talk about it tomorrow and Friday as well. Doesn't mean it will dominate the entire show, but we will see. Dees, who's getting in on the feedback, says if CJ Carr is going to Notre Dame, means Dante Moore. Wait, if Carr, I guess I have to read this with some context. If Carr going to Notre Dame means Dante Moore is a lock, then that's a fine trade-off. If Harbaugh can land neither recruit, then that would be devastating. Well, Dees, no finer sentence has been written regarding Michigan football right now than that one, unless you wanted to add on that same recruiting cycle, like Dante Moore is a quarterback for 2023. You've got the 2022s that are coming in this year. You got the 2023s that are coming in the following year. And then you got the 24s, which CJ Carr is the number one rated quarterback. Jadyn Davis, I would also put into the category that if he ended up coming to Michigan, then that would be a good trade-off as well. I would also add that a quarterback that is interested in Michigan named Justin Sayin from California, if he would be a lock and would end up coming to Michigan, then that would be a trade. Then that would be a nice trade-off. If there's no Moore, no Sayin, no Davis, then I agree with you. It would be devastating. So that's the way we get things going today as we talk a little Michigan football recruiting. And before we go any further, let us tell you about one of our fine sponsors, and it is Manscaped. And support for Maize and Blue Review, you're watching it right now, is brought to you by Manscaped. They are the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools. So join me and over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off free worldwide shipping with the code TMBR at manscaped.com. I was at a graduation party and a graduation over the weekend, slid a little cash to the graduating seniors, and I also sent them Manscaped's Performance Package, the Ultimate Men's Hygiene Bundle. These guys are going to be hooked up, and they are going to remember me, and they are going to love it forever. That is a promise from me. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code TMBR at manscaped.com. 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Use that TMBR code and unlock your confidence, and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. So you got the local signal caller ready to commit tomorrow. And we're going to talk about, we already have, about the top QBs that are in play for Michigan. And I don't have it written up on the screen, but I also have a little tidbit that has played out over the last 24 hours. That is, I'll put it in the spectacular news category for Michigan football. So if you do anything else, wait for that, because it is, as I said, spectacular, fantastic, however you want to look at it. So you've got CJ Carr, and he's got his 5 finalists, and he is announcing tomorrow. That is June the 9th. Yeah, June the 8th at 7:00. And as you heard there at the outset, all of the gurus, our own guru, our own pair of gurus, the gurus that know the most, Maize and Blue Review, they have put the forecast in as well. And their forecast is that CJ Carr is going to South Bend. He is going to go play for Notre Dame. Now, I mentioned Jadyn Davis and Julian Sayin. Those two guys, if you look at rivals, they are ranked just above CJ Carr. We're not 100% sure that that's the way Michigan has it ordered, what their evaluation is, but maybe. And as we learned yesterday, Jadyn Davis, who you see on the far side of the screen with a football in his hand, he just so happens to be ranked as the number one quarterback in that same class as CJ Carr. So there's a few things you just have to work through as we talk about this. And one is that it is CJ Carr, and a million times we've gone over his connections and what makes him, the ultimate Michigan man. I mean, he is the ultimate Michigan man. His dad, his mom, his grandfather, all of it. Where he lives, how he was brought up, his cat. He had one cat named Maize and the other one was named Blue. I mean, if CJ Carr, if you would have told me last year, if CJ Carr would have slipped on a banana peel and cut his arm, and you said, you wouldn't believe it, it was Maize and Blue running out of his arm, I would have said, well, yeah, he's a Michigan man. So when you have a Michigan man through and through, never been a bigger Michigan man ever than CJ Carr, and in just over a little 24 hours, he's expected. Maybe he runs his big end around and he ends up going to Michigan or something. But by all indications, he is going to Notre Dame. Well, it is a little bit shocking. It's a little bit shocking, not if you're someone who follows this every day. We've been talking about this for a little while, and there was some smoke. It was about a month ago. There's some Golden Domer, some touchdown Jesus smoke that was, happening. Maybe it was over a month ago. And so, it doesn't become as a complete shock, except when you just really start thinking it through. It does become a shock. And I think the part to me when it comes about recruiting, and I'll say a couple of different things. One is, recruiting is fun. You follow recruiting because you're a sports fan, you're a Michigan fan, you're a college football fan. You're a fan. Giving you something to do in the off season, and it's fun to follow. Specifically, the quarterback's the most important position. It's very fun. And the part about that you always need it, that I do. I don't know if this helps you or not, but this is what always helps me when I'm following recruiting, when I'm looking at recruiting. I always come back to this, and I'm reminded that it's the kid's decision on where he wants to go to college. Now, you can say, that is the most Captain Obvious thing that you've ever heard. But if you would see how people are acting over the last 24 or 48 hours, you would think that you would need to remind them a few times that his grandfather's not making the call. His daddy's not making the call. His mama, they might all have ideas about, where they would want him to go and what actually would be best for him and all those things. But in fact, it's going to be the kid's decision on where he wants to go to school. So I just say that, and I think you know that. And when you see people, I don't even know if they're acting a fool, maybe they're just having fun, but it starts going back to, Lloyd Carr and, his time at Michigan as a coach. And it didn't end well for Lloyd Carr and the ensuing years after he was done. What was he done in 2007? It didn't look, he didn't have a first year or two or three of a good retirement in terms of his Michigan legacy. And so it ended, really, the legacy of Lloyd Carr. Well, it took a big hit when they lost to Appy State. And then the following week, when they lost to Oregon, a lot of the cachet that Carr had built up over the, almost decade and a half, was gone. Like, and to say it more specifically, his power to pick his successor was removed after those first 2 weeks. Even though Michigan ended up coming back and winning some games, and the game against Tebow and the Citrus Bowl was awesome, and it was a great way to go out, Carr was stripped of his power to name his successor. Now, he didn't like that. Who would? You get, and some people maybe that are watching right now have been in very powerful positions, and so maybe all I can do is kind of speculate and seen other people that have been in powerful positions and how they have acted. It hurts when you are not able to, as this powerful entity of Michigan football, to be able to continue that on in kind of your name and be able to pick who the next coach is. And so he was hurt by that. No question, Lloyd Carr. And if you're a Michigan fan, and what Lloyd did, you'd say, here's a guy who won the national championship for Michigan, bleeds maize and blue. In his retirement years, won't he do everything, for Michigan? Won't he do everything to help the Wolverines, and specifically the Michigan football program? That's a fair thing to think or request, all of those kind of things. But what happened is that because Carr was not able to pick his successor, he did not fully endorse, or, and I don't know, say it even more straight up, he didn't help out Rich Rodriguez at all. He did not welcome in Rich Rodriguez. He did not ease the transition with Rich Rodriguez. It was the opposite. You can say, well, you understand, he didn't get pick his successor. You would do the same thing. Whatever. The bottom line is that he didn't help. And there were a lot of people. I was trying to figure out if I could put a percentage on it. 50% of the people didn't help Rodriguez either. 75% turned their back on him. And I don't know. I was trying to come up with that number, and I couldn't. There were a lot of Michigan people, Michigan men, Michigan women, former players, alums, fans, who did not accept Rich Rodriguez and give him a chance. If you don't want to go there, if they didn't like the hire, they were predicting that it wasn't going to work. They were not all behind him. And I think that there were more people that were against Rodriguez and not supporting him in what would have been 2008 that were fully behind him and saying, hey, let's, get behind Michigan. I don't think that was the case. And Carr was included in that. And a lot of people hold a grudge with Lloyd against, that was a long time ago, but they still, it's freshened up a little bit this week with his grandson and with what everybody thinks is going to be his ultimate decision tomorrow. So you go back to that, and you just have to, you get into the, mind of some Michigan fans. I have a friend whose name is James Watts, and James unfortunately passed away in the last couple months. JJ in Lincoln Park is how I first came to know James. JJ used to call in on a radio show that I did back in Ann Arbor. And if you have ever listened to Ann Arbor radio, well, then you would know who JJ in Lincoln Park is. JJ in Lincoln Park was the biggest. You would put him in the Bob Ufer category of Michigan fans. This guy, every time when it would come down to a prediction like, hey, how do you think Michigan's going to do? Here would be JJ. I think they're going to go undefeated. I think they're going to win every game. And you'd hear him talk about Jim Harbaugh in recent years. He loved calling him James Joseph. James Joseph this, James Joseph that. They're going to win every game. Even heading into the pandemic season, here was a JJ saying, they're going to win the Big Ten. He's just a supreme uber Michigan fan. Bigger, as big, I would say bigger, but I've never heard or met a bigger Michigan fan than JJ in Lincoln Park. Guess what? JJ in Lincoln Park didn't accept Rich Rodriguez either. He was out there predicting, I didn't think it was going to work out with Rich Rodriguez. The biggest Michigan fan ever. So, I get to what went wrong with CJ Carr. A lot of people, want to talk about Lloyd and, how he interacts with Jim Harbaugh. And is this a Harbaugh, Lloyd Carr thing? Again, I'll take you back to it's a kid decision, hopefully, and that he gets to decide where he wants to go to college. And while it is different because of his other grandpa and his mom and dad, and, he's the supreme ultimate Michigan man, it is what I would say weird. It is weird. Now, just because something is weird doesn't mean, like, when I hear all this and I talk myself through it, it's weird. It is weird that CJ Carr is not coming to Michigan. Now, yeah, all of the other things that I'm going to talk about and that you hear, and all of the particular quarterbacks, and this guy wasn't going there and he wasn't, and there, he may reclassify and he may reclassify. If I just boil it all down, it is a weird situation that CJ Carr is not committing and is not coming to Michigan. Now, life is weird. If you would have told me 5 years ago, I'd have been staring into a camera at the Peach Mountain studio talking about Michigan, I would have said, that sounds weird to me. But here I am. There's a lot of things that are weird in life. And I'm not, I like the Carr family. I like both of Carr's parents. I've never met CJ. I'd probably like him too. So for me, I can say, like, it sounds like you might think, wow, you're a real bitter guy. I'm not trying to sound bitter. It's the kid's decision. And I would go as far as say, I wish him well. I hope, do I hope Michigan plays Notre Dame in the playoff? Yeah. I mean, I do hope that. I mean, that would have Michigan in the playoff. Sure. Would I be then, wishing, CJ Carr in 3 years, luck if somehow, he was the quarterback on one side and, Dante Moore was Michigan's quarterback. Would I be saying, oh yeah, hey, best of luck to the Carrs? No, I would say, I hope they lose. I hope Michigan wins. Anyway, I think that, I'm pretty sure that's what I would say. In fact, I can't see, I really can't see any other way around that. So I just get back to it. It is weird, but again, weird things happen. It's just the strangest thing ever. Maybe strangest things, Stranger Things is looking for a season 5 theme, and maybe they'll come into Ann Arbor and they will form the ultimate Michigan man and then have him going to one of their biggest rivals. That would be a great season 5 of Stranger Things. It almost sounds like a movie script with Carr apparently, heading to South Bend, but I wish him luck. And, it's going to follow. You're going to have fans that are going to freak out because it's weird. I think you get that. I think that, and maybe I'll send the Carrs a text, but I think that they probably know this, but, give everybody a day, if not a week, to just kind of freak out about it. And then I think once that passes, it'll perk up here or there about what the hell is he doing? I think it'll be fine. But, for 24 hours and, for a week, maybe on either side, people are going to freak out a little bit. I mean, we're talking about recruiting fans. I mean, they're it's a subset of fandom, and you don't like to put everybody into a box, but if you profile a recruiting fan, I mean, these are like the biggest fans in the world, bigger fans than the fans that's claim they're the biggest fans. You could say you're the biggest fan ever, and then somebody can come along and know who Michigan's recruiting in 2024, and they just throw that card down, and you can say I'm a bigger fan. I follow recruiting. You're a big fan, so it comes off as weird, but life is weird, and that's the last time I'm going to say that. The other part, and I've got feedback, and I'm going to go through all of it, is that you go to evaluating these quarterbacks. I've never watched CJ Carr, Jadyn Davis, or Justin Sayin throw a football. I've never seen any of these three guys. I see what Rivals has to say about them, but we can also just think about evaluations for a minute. If you are Jim Harbaugh, you are Matt Weiss, you are anyone else, whoever the coach is that's currently recruiting, that California we're saying is, or out east where Davis is. So you're going to have an opinion if you've watched them play or have talked to some coaches, and they have the film now. I could myself, and you could too. Maybe there's something we can all do is watch all of the available film on all three of these guys, and then we could make like, hey, this is what I like, and then you could rank them wherever you want. But it's something at least to think about if you don't want to go back to it's a kid's decision on where he wants to go to college. It also could be a factor in just how much Michigan, how they evaluated these QBs. In Michigan, they could have evaluated them, let's just say, just like Rivals. Michigan, when they came back and looked at all the film and they ranked their guys, they could say that Jadyn Davis, they think, is the best prospect out there. And they could have come back and thought, Dave Sayin is the second best QB. Now, Carr ends up being third on that list, but is it easily, can you make the jump to say that it could be Davis and Sayin and maybe even somebody else, and Carr, they might think, we like him, but we don't even think he's in the top 5 of those signal callers. Maybe not, but possibly. And so if you're on Jim Harbaugh's staff and you guys are all sitting around the table and you're talking about, this is what we're saying to Davis. This is what we're saying to Sayin. This is what we're saying to CJ Carr. They may have not been saying to Carr the whole time, like, you're the man, we want you, you're the man. They may have said, we would rather have Dante Moore, who we've been talking about in this upcoming recruiting class. They may have just been saying all along, since Dante Moore's been in 7th grade, you're our number one guy. You're our number one guy. And they may have never wavered off of that, talking about Michigan and their staff and their evaluations. And CJ Carr may have asked, hey, where do I fit in this pecking order? And Michigan may have said, hey, we want you. We'll take 2 quarterbacks, but, and maybe they were honest. Those particulars of exactly, how things are being played out, I don't know. And even the gurus, I'm even talking like Josh Henschke, our publisher at Maize and Blue Review, who has inside sources and is posting about, these QBs right now every day and tidbits all the time. If Henschke was talking to one of his sources and they said, yeah, we weren't really high on Carr. We had 4 or 5 guys, which may be accurate, but you could see, how they might say that now that they know that, that they're going to potentially losing him. But, maybe they don't want to say that because you never know. It's actually not signing day. All of this I go back to, and I'm thinking about just the evaluations. The Carr may have had Michigan up very high, but he may have not felt the same kind of love. Now, you say Michigan took him for granted. Would you have rather had a legacy kid who's certainly, you can make the case as a top 5 quarterback in 24? Wouldn't you want the top 5 legacy kid, with the quarterback in hand rather than, a couple other 5 stars in the bush? You can make that case. I like the case here, and this is the case that I'm going to make. Michigan right now, if this was a situation where Michigan didn't win the Big Ten, they didn't beat Ohio State, they, I don't know, lost to Penn State, McNamara didn't throw that 47-yard touchdown to Eric All there late in the game, and Ohio State beat Michigan again. That's not we had seen it happen, and Michigan didn't win the Big Ten, and we're sitting here and talking about CJ Carr going somewhere else. It would be a different story. But the story is always about what's going on right now. In Michigan right now, in the quarterback room, the most important room on any football team, the quarterback room looks really good. And the future of the quarterback room looks really good. So Carr, even though he's the ultimate Michigan man, going to Notre Dame, you talk yourself through it. If you don't want to go back to, hey, it's a kid's decision and, you can go wherever you want. Think about this year's quarterback room. Michigan's got Cade McNamara and J.J. McCarthy. These guys could play the next 3 years together. I know it's weird because McNamara seems like he's been around 4 years, but because he redshirted and because he has a pandemic year, he actually could start for 3 more years. And McCarthy, we know he played as a true freshman. Of course, as a true sophomore, he could play 3 more years. Now, I'm not going to predict anybody. I don't want anybody to get hurt. A guy could get hurt. These guys could ultimately play together for 3 more years. McCarthy, but he could go pro after. There's a few different ways it could go. But for right now, this upcoming year and the following year, I would say the Michigan quarterback, it's either going to be Cade McNamara and or J.J. McCarthy. And that looks really good. McCarthy has a lot of promise. McNamara just won the Big Ten. That's a nice feather in his cap. So the next 2 years looks really good. I don't know. Alex Orji looked like he threw a nice football and looks like he'd be a real nice dual threat QB from what I saw in the spring game. Physically, he looks like he's ready to play right now. Jadyn Denegal, I didn't see enough of him, or Davis Warren, who's also throwing the ball around on the spring game. I don't know about those guys starting or playing at Michigan at quarterback, but I do feel, and I think you should too, feel really good about Michigan for the next 2 years. Okay, so after that, Dante Moore. Dante Moore is one of the highest rated quarterbacks that Michigan's ever going after, ever. He's more highly rated than Gardner or all the way back to Drew Henson. Dante Moore is there as one of the highest rated QBs that Michigan has been in on ever. And is there a chance that Michigan gets him? Yeah, I'm not ready to say it's a good chance. Certainly not putting any forecasts in. That's not my game anyways. But is there a nice chance that Michigan could get Dante Moore? It is. I mean, the guy, Michigan's been in on him since 7th grade. We know that he's going everywhere in the country, going through the process. Texas A&M, that's really scary. Maybe they'll hand him $5 million, and who knows how, Michigan, we've seen how they publicly have handled their name, image, and likeness, but maybe they're just saying, hey, you can have the opportunity to make $1 million or $2 million. And, Texas A&M is saying, hey, we got money on the table. Just come on. We got money on the Jimbo. Jimbo can say a lot of things. That's not my money. That's your money. But like I said, it's not my money. That's a booster's money. He can say anything he wants. And call Nick Saban. However it goes, you should be a little bit nervous about Moore going down to Texas A&M. I mean, we can all be honest about that. They got a lot of money down there. They got more money, they got more money than the LIV tour down there at College Station when it comes to recruiting. So Dante Moore could take that oil money. I don't know. That Texas A&M money. I'm not going to blame Dante Moore if he wants to take $5 million and go to Texas A&M. How can you blame him? All right, the thing that if you did not see, so It looks really good for the next 2 years. Does it look good for Michigan and Dante Moore? They're in there, and it's a little bit like playing poker. And you have the ace of spades and the king of spades in your hand. And the three cards that come up are the queen of spades and the jack of spades. You only need the 10 of spades to get a royal flush, and there's 2 more cards to go. So you're sitting there, and really, you don't have anything, but you just have this chance to get, and is it a gut shot straight if you don't have it on either end? You just need that 10 of spades, and you got a royal flush. You even if somebody's betting a lot, you have to stay with that. I mean, you might have the ultimate. Michigan might have a royal flush coming their way. And so they're in with a chance with Dante Moore. However you want to look at it, there's a change every week. It changes a little bit, but Michigan's in there. And then the same class of CJ Carr yesterday, nationally, this Jadyn Davis, who's considered the #1 quarterback over CJ Carr, over Sayin. These guys, like the national guy, put in a forecast for Michigan. Josh Henschke, I've mentioned him a few times here today. The publisher, the leader, Maize and Blue Review. He thinks that Davis is in for Michigan right now if he had to make his prediction. Those are nice indications. They don't mean everything. Things can change, but this week, that's a really nice. And we talked, if you missed yesterday's show, Zach Libby, who's the recruiting editor here at Maize and Blue Review, we went over a lot of the particulars of Davis and Moore and Sayin and timelines and what they're doing in camps and why, all that kind of stuff. But so it looks really good for Michigan on the recruiting side. Now, they could strike out with Moore, and they could strike out with Davis. They could strike out with Sayin. And then if that happens, I think you revisit a CJ Carr, who looks like tomorrow night he's going to go to Notre Dame. And then I think, you come back to I'm upset. But right now, let's see how the cards flip up. I like Michigan's cards. I like the pot that they have, the chip stack, I should say. I don't know about the chip stack that they have. If the chip stack is J.J. McCarthy and Caden McNamara, that's a really nice. They've got a great stack of chips. And then they also are in really good position with the cards that are on the table, with Dante Moore, with Jadyn Davis, and with Sayin. I'm just saying. That's how I'm looking at it. Let's look at the feedback. That was D's talking about he doesn't mind the trade-off if Michigan ends up getting Dante Moore. I'm with you on that. Here's Antoine. I'm going to call Antoine. Nothing against anybody else. My favorite person that gets on the feedback. I don't know about a lock, but it makes it more likely that he comes. Oh, yeah, Antoine, I don't know about a lock either. Antoine says he thinks that Dante's probably looking for some reassurance that he won't be handing the ball off all day. Rumor has it we're in the hunt for the #1 quarterback recruit. Yeah, that's Jadyn Davis, who I was talking about. Let me order some of the feedback coming in fast and furious from the boys here. We're trending toward #1 for Jadyn Davis. That's right, Antoine. I'm not really worried about the quarterback. Everybody's going crazy over CJ Carr. No one is guaranteed until they sign on the dotted line, especially with name, image, and likeness. That's a good point. We've got a 5-star quarterback collecting dust on the bench. We don't need any more controversy at this point. These are a row of feedbacks from Antoine. Did you see the tweet that his mom put up about him handing off the ball 30 times in Michigan? No, you know what? No, Antoine, I did not see that. I'll be looking for that. There's a tweet from Dante Moore's mom about him handing the ball off. Oh, that was CJ's mom. Oh, you mean Tammy Carr put a tweet out that he's going to be handing the ball off too much? I did not see that. I saw Tammy Carr making or put a tweet together about CJ making his commitment. Antoine thinks it's more important for Jim Harbaugh to open up the offense a little bit more and make it more of a 50-50 and throw a little bit more, letting JJ pass. It'll be the key to our success in recruiting. Well, it's interesting. What if I argued, Antoine, that winning the Big Ten and beating Ohio State and then getting to the championship game or playing a more competitive semifinal would be more important than opening up the offense? Because I think that would be the case. Now, you could make the case that you can do both. And I actually agree with you. It was a little ridiculous, ultimately, because Michigan won. And that's the name of the game. Winning. Attracting quarterbacks. Look, if I'm a running back or I'm a quarterback, if I just want to throw the ball every down, I'll go to the Big 12. You want to be in an offense that is going to throw, but you also want some protection, with a running. You want to win. You want to be on the big time stage. And let's add in that you want as much money as you can get off the bat with name, image, and likeness. That's why a lot of these guys I've heard it now over the last 48 hours with both CJ Carr and Jadyn Davis, that there's potential that these guys would reclassify. I would reclassify as well. We don't know what's going to happen. Maybe there's I don't know how they're going to put a cap or, how they get into whatever kind of collective bargaining they get into with name, image, and likeness. But right now there's no cap. And if you can reclassify and you can get $1 million, $2, $3, $4, $5 million, if you're a 5-star quarterback, you're damn right I'd reclassify. But you'll get to miss your senior prom. It's all right. I'll throw my own for $100,000. I'll throw my own party. All right. That was me getting off on a tangent. Those were the 2 worst weeks I've ever experienced as a Michigan fan, losing to App State, then getting decimated by Oregon. Antoine has always had a problem with the way the program directors of Michigan has handled Michigan. They run a team like they're in the 1800s and scary and conservative. Well, Rich Rodriguez didn't do that, but he didn't pay any attention to special teams and defense. I think that there's some truth to what you're saying, because Michigan, I go back to Lloyd Carr. Lloyd Carr, he'd always be, hey, do you want to throw the ball a little bit? And he's like, I like throwing the football. But, it got to be like, Bo just likes to run. And it's not even true about Bo. I mean, yeah, Bo ran the ball a lot. And, Bo, was he famous for saying that, 3 things can happen when you throw the ball and 2 of them are bad? Or was there 5 things that can happen when you throw the ball and 4 of them are bad? And Michigan got that reputation, but when Bo had AC and Bo had, and Bo started throwing the football. Now, let's be honest about that. And, was the Carr, was he, taking drags, kicking and screaming, into throwing the ball? And did he finally say, to hell with it, I'll give you what you want, in his final game in the Citrus Bowl? And everybody was like, wow, this is awesome. So there's a little bit of truth to that, Antoine, but let's go. Let's get to some more. Michigan's last season had 3,202 yards passing and 3,201 yards rushing. Do you think we don't pass enough mantra is a tad overblown? Do I think so? Well, they ran the ball more than any other Power 5 team, right? Or they were in the top 3. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Michigan was like Wisconsin or Army they were up there. Like, they ran the ball percentage-wise, carry-wise. I mean, you're looking at the yards. They ran it. I'll just go back and answer it like this, Dees. And, last year was a fantastic year. One of the most memorable years in Michigan football, certainly the Ohio State game, et cetera, et cetera. Washington and Michigan under the lights back on September 11th. Michigan was up 10-0 at the half. At the half, I should have saved the text thread that I had with about 5-6 Michigan fans. All 6 of them. This is a joke. We should be up 30-0. Are they ever going to throw the ball? You just can't run the ball every down. Why are we playing in the 1970s? I mean, right down the list. If Michigan comes out running the ball in the third quarter, I'm over it. They're going to lose this game. All of those, everyone. And Michigan actually did come out running the ball in the third quarter, but they had success and they rolled right down the field. And then it's like when you're winning and, you're going to the ground and pound game and you run the ball 56 times for, 340 some odd yards. Everybody's like, oh, okay. I'd like to see him throw it a little bit more, but we'll take the win. And it was an identity that was forged. And who knew? I said myself over the last 10 years, over the last 20 years, when people would ask me, what's the biggest problem with Michigan not being able to beat Ohio State? I said, it's the quarterbacks. The quarterback in that game, in the season, Ohio State's clearly got better signal callers. We're not talking about how they perform in the pros, but they're getting outplayed at that position. And if Michigan ever wants to turn the tide, they're going to have to do it with QBs. Well, it wasn't that way. It was their offensive. It was both line. It was line play. And a serviceable quarterback. Now, trying to get it done in back-to-back years or really having the worm turn, I think it would be the quarterbacks. But, hey, Michigan's got, as we have just gone over, I don't know if it's very easy, but right now what they are competitive enough where I can think over the next 2 years that Michigan should be looking Ohio State in the eye. And you can think about certainly winning one of these next 2, maybe the next 2. That's not being, Mr. Homer or anything. There's a chance that could happen. And then if you want to tell me Michigan against Dante Moore and or Jadyn Davis and or Dante Moore and Sayin, I say the same thing, but I'll extend it out to 4 or 5 years and about winning, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5. That's not crazy talk. Not anymore. Okay. Feedback. The thing is, Antoine, we're going to have to get you and Dees coming on the show together because, it's hard to go through all of the feedbacks and get you. CJ Wolverine, she supposedly liked the tweet, but she didn't post that tweet. Oh, we're getting down to I like little social media detective work, CJ. Thanks for that. Yeah, it's been fun here. I like the feedback coming in. We're going to have to get you guys on the air so you can make your points. I'm going to read one more. I'm going to start at the end. D's. Now his grandson, a legacy recruit, is spurning Michigan for a rival. Maybe you're right, Dennis, and the Carrs have moved on from Michigan. Maybe. I'm not against running whatever works, but sooner or later you're going to have to come to a team you can't run on. That's why you should be diverse and be able to attack the weaknesses of a defense. It's a good comeback, Antoine. Michigan's, it'd have been pretty good. It would have been fun to be in the room as Michigan planned on attacking Georgia. And if Josh Gaddis was like, yeah, we'll just run it. We'll just do the same thing we've been doing. And somebody said, you know what, you can't run against that brick wall. Let's think about passing the ball. I don't know. All right, we do appreciate all of the feedback coming in. I want to make a couple reminders here out to you. And before I get to that, there's the news that I wanted to tell you about that I thought was spectacular news. and that is Michigan, the news that Ronnie Bell, he is coming back, and he has been cleared, and he is 100%. And while we have talked about the wide receivers for Michigan here, and it plays right into what Antoine is talking about. And yeah, sure, Michigan's identity last year was, throwing the football all the time. Running the football all the time. If we think about it, and we are going to think about it, you've got now Ronnie Bell. You've got Cornelius Johnson, nice size down in the red zone. You've got maybe the best he looks like a prototypical, first, second round wide receiver, and Andrell Anthony. Going to be just a sophomore. You got a guy that can take the top off the defense in Roman Wilson. Hell, Donovan Edwards is a running back, and so CJ Corum, but I don't know, these guys, I don't think they're going to catch more passes than they rush, but both of these guys can get it done. They're a little bit like, Alvin Kamara. They've got that, type of game. McCaffrey out of the backfield where they can get it done. A lot of pass catchers. Hell, even A.J. Henning, who, might be a better running back, might be more Deebo Samuel than he is, Jerry Rice. They've got him. And who am I forgetting? Oh, they got the three freshmen. Darius Clemens showed out in the spring game. They are rich at wide receiver. And with the addition of Ronnie Bell, how are they going to get all these guys the ball? How are they going to make these guys happy? Well, it's scoring. It's moving the ball. It's averaging over 40 points per game. Can they do that? Look, if you're watching, oh my God, now they're going to average over 40 points a game. They've got the firepower to average over 40 points a game. Are they going to average over 40 points a game? Are they going to throw the ball and utilize all these weapons that they have? Nice problems to have. Okay, the Maize and Blue Review. We'd like to encourage you to join or give the gift of the Maize and Blue Review. You go to michigan.rivals.com. It's all day, every day coverage of the Wolverines. You see how I sit here and I'm reading the feedback? The posting board, this is what goes on all day long. And a lot of times all night long. Michigan banner, back and forth, back and forth. Inside info, all of it. So a Michigan fan in your life, you're just looking for a gift. I don't know what to get. Yes, you do. You could go with a stale tie. I like golf. Some golf balls. Go with some of those other boring sites. Go with the Maize and Blue Review. And subscribe as well if you have not on YouTube. We'd like to get those numbers up so we can do more with you here. All the other various social medias, get in there. And I do want to give a shout out. We are also on TikTok. I did a screenshot of some of my TikToks. That's kind of how it looks. You get in there and you see all this Michigan stuff. But I said, give us a follow in there on TikTok. I'm the one that's running it. And Corbin's _backup, C. Bennett, Drew Bell, Steve 05517. Thank you guys for getting on in there. It has been a fun show here. Coming up tomorrow, Jim Scarcelli will join us as he does on Thursdays. Next week, I'm already working on, I must say already, I'm working on next week. Got some good surprises. We'll wait till we get the confirmations on the guys, but it's going to be a fun week. I thought that it would be lean in June and July. August, everybody's going to be ready for college football. We'll be off and, but I'm enjoying June as much as I, enjoyed May. So with that, thanks for watching. And hit those like buttons and, get in on those subscriptions. Till then, we'll talk with you tomorrow. See you later.